Hey everyone, and welcome to the video version of the Funnily Enough Show podcast. This is where you get the raw, unedited version of the video calls that I do with all of the guests on the show. If you're more of an audio person, then be sure to head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting platform where you can listen to it in your ear. But if you're more of a video person, you want to watch the live call, then it's coming right up now. Amanda, welcome to the Funnily Enough Show. How are you doing? I believe it's 7 a.m. with you right now.
It is. It's a little on the early side sitting here in beautiful Victoria, Canada.
Have you had the coffee this morning yet?
I'm rocking out the giant pink tumbler full of coffee and getting caffeinated right now.
I feel like if I was doing a podcast at 7 a.m., I would be like waking up to caffeinate myself a couple hours before the show because I feel like in the mornings.
There was definitely the wake up an hour early, make it look like my eyes aren't puffy and get some caffeine rolling, and then a little bit of the prep.
Brilliant. Well, we've only got 25 minutes to speak, unfortunately. So let's get straight into the super serious, important questions, Amanda, which is, would you rather eat the same meal for the rest of your life, or would you rather never use Instagram ever again?
Same meal.
Wow, the same meal.
That's not even a question. That was an easy one.
So what would the meal be?
Oh, probably craft dinner.
What's craft dinner?
Craft dinner. It's
I have
Canadian
never heard of
macaroni
that.
and cheese.
Oh wow, that sounds pretty epic. I mean,
it's nothing to write home about. It's just comfort food, but
yeah. To be fair, if I was asked to eat macaroni and cheese every day for the rest of my life, I think I would just say yes anyway. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But no, I want to dive into the digital gal. And what the thing that really interests me about you is how you're able to run your business, offering digital marketing services to clients, etc., as a digital nomad. So being able to operate from your phone and your laptop. And I saw on your Instagram that are you midway or you have done a 27,000 kilometer road trip with your dog, which I think is epic. How have you managed to run your business whilst doing a road trip of that length?
Well, it's been there is no roadmap for this. It's been a dive right in and figure it out as I go. So over a year ago, I went no fixed address and packed up my entire life into a car, including my dog, my laptop, a whole bunch of high heel shoes, and a whole bunch of live streaming tech gear, including an entire backdrop scaffolding, all my camping gear, everything you could possibly imagine. And I think the real key that made this successful for me, or even viable, is that I actually bought this huge, it's like it looks like a car battery. It's a giant external power source that I can charge in the car while I'm driving. And it takes about 7 hours to charge it. So while I'm road tripping, it's charging. While I'm sleeping in a campsite or staying somewhere that doesn't have power, I can still plug in, run my laptop, run my Wi-Fi data hub, have cell service, and get connected and still do my work. So I've live streamed from the car, I've live streamed from campsites, I've stayed in Airbnbs, I've slept on people's couches, I've stayed in different hotels and motels and conferences, and I basically have put a little pin on the map on somewhere I need to be, generally related to one of the conferences throughout the year, and then road trip my way toward it and mapped out little places to stay in between. And when I pick campsites, I have to have good cellular service, and I have to have had it timed so that I can charge up the battery with enough time to be able to get a full battery charge to run all of my electronics, recharge my phone, power up all my little live streaming tech gear pieces. And then when I actually landed in a certain place where I had the opportunity to set up my large backdrop, that's when I will heavy load my schedule for doing interviews or doing anything that requires a little more of that professional touch to it. So it's been a learning adventure, especially when it comes to Wi-Fi. So as you move from one side of the country all the way to the other, so I started in Canada, came down into the United States, went all the way from the East Coast, all the way to the West Coast to San Diego, turned around, went all the way back out to the East Coast in North Carolina, turned around, went all the way back out to the West Coast to San Diego again, and then north up to Canada. And when you're crossing the country, your cellular data is stronger on one side of the country than the other, depending on who your provider is. So I purchased myself a US cell phone and had it on one network. And then as I moved across the country, I was using a phone on another network to get signal and get service and run my data. And then as I came north across the border back into Canada, none of those networks worked for me. So I had to have a Canadian source of internet. And I've tried everything you can imagine as far as internet sources. And I need a minimum of 3 megabytes of upload to do my live streams. And trying to chase 3 megabytes all across the country is one hell of an adventure.
It's challenging. So this sounds like an epic, almost like life change. It reminds me of the film and the book Into the Wild, kind of. And I want to know, like, what was the trigger point for you to go no address and to just start this epic road trip?
Well, everybody has a story. So I think mine came down to the realization that my business as I was running it wasn't the way I wanted it to run. I couldn't see myself doing that for 5 more years into the future. I needed to make a change with how I was running my business. I needed to make a change with the client mix. I needed to make a change in my relationship life. I needed to make a change in all the things that I thought I was doing that were good, that were how I wanted it to be. It was almost like I was trying too hard to make a life be the way I wanted it to be, but it just wasn't fitting. And then I kind of had the realization that, you know what? I don't have to be super successful to travel around the country or North America. I don't have to be super successful. I can just restructure my life so that I can build adventure around what I'm doing. I could build my life into it. So it was a big risk. I'm a little bit of an adventurer, and it's one of those things where I realize I don't have to work so hard and then take a 1 week vacation and then go to sit on a beach somewhere, or take a 1 week vacation and go to the Grand Canyon, or take a 1 week vacation and go and explore, the beaches on the East Coast. Once I realized that I can carve my life, I've worked so hard to build an online business that has me untethered, that allows me to work from anywhere. So why work so hard to build that if you never get the opportunity to actually use it?
I love this because I think that a lot of us business owners and entrepreneurs who have businesses online, which I feel like, especially when you maybe go somewhere like social media marketing world, the majority of business owners there have an online business. So when I speak about the majority of us, I mean just this kind of marketing world. And I feel like, and I speak this from my own point of view, which is you do so much work to build this business, which means you can work from anywhere, laptop, as long as you've got Wi-Fi, a phone, whatever it may be, as you've proven. But although you've got all this freedom, you're still, or I certainly still feel tied to the business, because I almost feel like anxiety when I'm not working and when I'm not in the office. And this kind of leads me on to, it was one of your posts on Instagram that I saw, which was I think back in June. And you spoke about how May was a particularly tough month for you because of things like lack of Wi-Fi. So I wanted to ask, do you ever feel like a sense of anxiety or struggle with the life that you're now living because you're not, like tied to the business all day, every day, working on your laptop?
Absolutely. Honestly, it is. It might look fun on the surface, but you have to be some level of crazy to make this work, and to still be standing at the end of it. It's almost an undue amount of stress to put on your system. Being an entrepreneur is hard enough. Running your own business is hard enough. Wi-Fi in general, without roaming around the country, is hard enough. And then when you add all of these things together and then chuck yourself into a campsite and have all sorts of different factors that are outside of your control, whether it's, storming and pouring rain and the acoustics mean you can't actually do an interview when you were supposed to do the interview. So then you reschedule everything and you try to find a Starbucks, and then you get to the Starbucks and the only place that has a plug for your laptop is already occupied by some student that's been sitting there and has like 13 coffee cups around them. And you're 5 minutes to go to live camera and running around trying to find another Starbucks in the city. So it's the amount of stress that puts on your system, and the amount of juggling, and the amount of time that is exhausted and wasted doing these inefficient activities and inefficient tasks is not very conducive to growing a business. It's not very conducive to showing up on time for meetings and scheduling meetings and having to reschedule meetings and manage a calendar. It definitely throws a giant curveball into everything. So everything, it comes with a trade-off. So I'm operating at a level of trade-offs that are really high. I have really, really amazing, mind-blowing experiences. I've seen so many parts of the United States and Canada that most people haven't seen. It's amazing, but it comes at the trade-off of I need to juggle like a master juggler, and I found you find out about yourself when you do these things, what you're good at and what you're not good at. I'm not good at juggling, so I've dropped a lot of balls this year with clients and with schedules and trying to make it work. So the amount of stress that goes along with it does wear on your system. I've got more gray hairs now than when I started, but it all comes down to what do you want out of this? What do you want out of life? What do you want out of this adventure? What do you want out of this experience? I want to run a business where I can flip open a laptop from anywhere in the world, and I want to run a business where I don't have to wait until I'm on vacation to go and live life and have experiences. I want to run a business where I can inspire other people and light a fire inside them to make them feel amazing, but empowered, and see what their limits are and what their capabilities are. So to be able to wrap all that into one, it's amazing, but it's a lot of work. So I don't want you to just gloss over, an Instagram profile and say, oh, this is the lifestyle that I really want. No, it comes with so many trade-offs. But for me personally, it has been worth it.
Yeah, I think that's a lesson in itself there about looking at someone's Instagram profile, because you see the highlight reel and you
Mhm.
see all the great experiences that people have, but you don't see the struggle and the hard work that goes in behind the scenes. So I'm really interested in this balance. Sorry, you were going to say something.
I was going to say, I do try to keep it somewhat real when it comes to this whole journey and how it's portrayed. When you look back on the Instagram feed, yeah, it is kind of the highlight reel, but where the real raw moments happen is all in the stories. So
Mm.
all along, I've had people following me along this journey, and there have been moments where, I'm having my breakdown and I'm having my tears and my little fit, and it's happening all on my Instagram stories because it is the reality. It's I'm having a hard time or something negative happens or I made a big mistake, and I talk about it. I don't just hold all of that inside, and I bring that out to the people who are following me along this journey, because I don't want to gloss over everything and make it look like this is such a wonderful lifestyle. And it also helps me, the more I open up, the more the universe seems to put exactly what I need right in my way. So if I bottle it all up and don't express myself, that's part of the charm of what has built the Digital Gal, has been opening up and bringing people along this journey with me, the good, the bad, the ugly, the no makeup teary moments in a tent versus the totally clammed up moments, speaking on stage to hundreds. It's been amazing.
Yeah, and I think you are actually particularly real even in your feed, because I mean that's where I saw the post about you were quite open that May had been a really tough month for you, which I think is commendable. And when you've got an audience, people following you, that's the type of post that actually brings them deeper into knowing you and feeling like they know you, which is an important thing. So I'm really interested in this balance thing between this concept of being a digital nomad, being able to work anywhere, and also the concept of running a business. And I think the ideas of running a business, or the normal way that people will look at running a business is it's constantly having to grow. You need to grow, 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 scale. Your business should look like this. You should be hiring people, etc., etc. So for you, do you feel that external pressure, um, or are you super comfortable that you're happy your business how it is because it gives you the freedom to do these epic road trips?
Hmm. My business is a giant sandbox. It's a giant learning adventure for me. So it doesn't look the way my business it looks right now is completely different than it looked a year ago, which is completely different than it looked 2 to 3 years ago. It's been an evolution, and I couldn't have predicted, when I first untethered, it's been about 5 years now. So when I first untethered from the 9 to 5 and went full solo instead of just having the side hustle, I could never have predicted that I'd be achieving the things that I've achieved and doing the things that I'm doing, looking forward. But I had it set in my mind that it would be a certain way, or I would follow a path that other people have done and meet those expectations and build a business that looked a certain way in my head. That is not the reality whatsoever. I've just let go. I've let go. And
Love it.
when I first started this whole adventure, the nomading portion of entrepreneuring 2.0, nomad, I actually let go of all of my clients. at that point in time. So I let go of all my clients. I let go of all that income and stability. And I set out on this adventure and journey and learned how to carve out a new path and a new schedule. But I had to clear the decks in order to build my programs. So I launched my Facebook ads 4-week training program. I've now just launched my Swift Kick in the Ads membership training. I've been launching things for myself to be able to reach more. Instead of working one-to-one, I want to work one-to-many. And I had to actually fire my clients or dial down my client obligations in order to have the opportunity to rebrand, to build, create, and get myself moving in the direction where my heart wants to go and where I want to explore. And that's where I got into messenger marketing chatbots. Chatbots are a giant puzzle that I get to play with. So there is no roadmap on what are you supposed to do with these things. They're brand new. That's what can your brain think of? What can you build? They're like giant Lego blocks. What can you build and turn it into? What are you inspired to turn it into? My business is the same thing. It's a giant bag of Lego blocks, and I get to build it out day by day in any direction where my heart wants to go and where I find that I am bringing other people more success. It's about inspiring other people. And if I can inspire them to be better at Facebook advertising, if I can inspire them to be better with their digital marketing spend, if I can inspire them to untether a little bit and travel, if I can inspire them to start up a messenger marketing chatbot, then I go where I'm better able to serve people. And that has shifted and changed over the years to put me where I am. So I've let go. I've let go of trying to follow the formula of other people and building courses and launches and building out a business the way it's supposed to be. And I've really embraced going, okay, what am I good at? Where are my skills? Where are my strengths? And how can I apply that to inspire other people? And then I'm just following that path. And that path, unfortunately, looks nothing like anybody else's. And so it just, I am not, I don't always do the right things. I don't blog enough. I don't post videos enough. I'm not on YouTube enough. Oh, Twitter, don't even get me started. But the things I am doing, I'm really good at.
Yeah, I love that saying, let go, because I feel like it doesn't really mean a lot, but at the same time, it means a huge amount. So when I've been like blogging, or I feel that the thing that it makes the biggest impact for me is when you feel like you're maybe comparing yourself to others, or you're holding yourself back in some way, or you're trying to do things a certain way. It's just like, let go and just do what you want to do, whatever sounds fun. So I
It
love
is
that.
it is so hard. It is so hard to do, especially with all of our social pressures. Everybody's watching you. All the eyes are on you. Everyone's looking to you to see what are you doing or what are you going to do next or why are you doing it that way? And to actually let go of the fear that goes along with the imposter syndrome, where you're trying to be something and you just don't quite feel like you're good enough or that you can do this, or there are too many other people out there who are doing it better than you. This all goes into the let it go. If you can let go and not focus on what they're doing and put more energy and effort into what you want to do, not just what you're doing, what you want to do, then it makes it so much easier for you to drive yourself to that goal versus spending too much time focused on what you could be doing better or what you're not currently.
Yeah. In the words of that Disney, I think it's a Disney film, let it go.
Oh my goodness.
It's going to be stuck in my head for the rest of my day. Right, Amanda, I am going to interrupt proceedings here because it's time for a game. It's time to play my favorite game, the 5-second rule. Have you ever played it before?
I'm not sure if I have.
Okay, the rules are simple. I've got 10 cards here. Each of the cards has a statement on it. And that statement will be something like, name 3 types of ice cream. You then have 5 seconds to give me an answer to the statement. So, for example, if it was 5 types of ice cream, it'd be strawberry, vanilla, chocolate. And if you give me those answers within 5 seconds, you get a point. If you fail to, you don't get a point. So, the
I'm starting to
first
feel the
question,
pressure.
I feel like this part of the podcast is when you really get to know people. It's not the questions. So, first question, which isn't actually a point, is do you want to go red or yellow cards? The yellow is slightly harder.
Red.
Red.
It's still early in the morning. The caffeine hasn't kicked in
There,
yet.
there. You've got a good excuse. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Let's do this. Name 3 rivers outside of the UK.
The Amazon.
Time is up on that one. That's how fast we've
Okay.
got. That's how fast we've got. Okay. You just have to literally go with the first thing that comes to your head.
I have to let it
Especially with
go.
this
Is that
one.
what I need to do?
You go. That's a good way to do it. Name 3 things beginning with the letter F.
Okay, I think I've lost that one.
Okay. Name 3 things that are deadly. Snake, bear,
I think I'm failing at this.
spider.
Can we make this the 10-second game?
The 10-second rule. Name 3 things beginning with the letter P.
People, purse, pumps.
Yes, there we
All
go.
right, got
We're
one.
off
Go
the
on.
mark. We're off the marks. That's all you need to do. Just got to rock and roll with it. Next one. Name 3 pizza ingredients. What do you find on your pizza?
Pepperoni, pineapple, pepper.
Yes, lovely. Like what you see with some of these things is like there's no right or wrong answer. You could just go like candy, and then you'd be like, well, if you like candy on your pizza, who am I to judge? Okay, especially with this one because I name 3 hobbies.
Photography, wakeboarding, snowboarding.
Lovely. Name 3 things you might use to set the table.
Fork, spoon, knife.
Yeah, lovely. Name 3 seas or oceans.
The Pacific, the Atlantic, and the other ones.
Oh, so close. So close. Name 3 yogurt flavors. That's kind of like the ice cream.
Strawberry, coconut, vanilla.
Nice. And the final one, you've got to get this one, Amanda.
Oh,
Name 3 things to pass the time whilst traveling.
Podcasts, radio.
Time is out, I'm afraid.
Like,
Okay,
there's only one answer. It's podcast. That's it. That's it.
Let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 5 out of 10. That's a
I think
respectable
you're being generous there.
That's a respectable, a really respectable score actually. It's certainly not the worst. I'll give you that. So well done. And I think you've got a good excuse. 7 a.m. in the morning. It took you a couple to get going. I think you're good, Amanda. I think you're good.
Thank you.
So I want to go back to the client thing that you spoke about, letting go of your clients, because that's really interesting to me. And I feel like a lot of people listening, especially if they have client-led businesses, will have the clients that they don't particularly like working with, that don't treat them well, that don't pay enough, etc., etc., etc. And I'm not saying this is what happened with you, but the same conversation is they'll want to have the same conversation, which is I know I kind of should get rid of this client, but I kind of like the money that they give me. So when it came to you to get rid of the clients, I mean, what did those conversations look like? Was it easy to have? Did you take a revenue hit in the business? How did you go about that situation?
They were very well paying clients, and it was a great contract. It was a wonderful, I mean, there are so many digital marketers that would give anything to have that opportunity. But what I was finding is that me personally, it wasn't lighting me up inside. The nature of the work that I was doing with the clients that I had wasn't something that makes me excited and happy inside. It was sort of mechanically going through the motions. And I had been working with some of them for so long that we've kind of exhausted all of the creativity, and I had just become a cog in their business that was routine. And when I feel like I'm not lighting up and inspiring the people I'm working with, then I don't feel like I'm lit up and inspired, and I don't feel like I'm being as successful. So regardless of how much money I was or was not making, the client relationships weren't terrible. They were great, but they were not enough for me. They were not enough for what I really wanted. I could see myself, fast forwarding 5 years from now, am I going to be happy? The answer was absolutely not. If that's what my next 5 years looked like, I would have been miserable. So then I had to take that step back and say, well, what makes me happy? And that's a different answer for everybody. But when you really, really ask that question honestly to yourself, then you do have the capacity to make changes. And not everybody can do exactly what I did, which is just completely cut ties, untether, and, run around the country. Lots of people have families and children and spouses and obligations. So that might not look the same for you. But if you're in those client relationships and you're stagnant, just think about it this way. There are only so many hours in the day. There are only so many days of the year, and there are so many days in your life. What do you want to be doing with that time? And if you're investing that time into something that is not bringing you joy and happiness and not helping you grow into wherever you want to grow, personally, professionally, whatever it is, if what you're doing day in and day out is not contributing to helping you on that journey and on that mission, then change. You have to change, and change is the hardest thing you can do. Change is hard. I've gone through so much change in the last year, and I can attest to how hard it is. But to be able to have those conversations, it wasn't hard because the client relationships that I have built up over the years are very positive, and these people believe in me. They believe in me as much as I need to believe in myself. So it really was easy for them to say, yeah, you do need to, fly out of the nest. You do need to go and chase your dream. Do need to go and chase your happy. So that was an easier transition for me. But I think if you were evaluating your own client relationships and deciding if you were going to keep a client or release a client, if it's not great, it's not great for them either. There's an opportunity. You might not be the perfect fit. You might be providing the perfect service. You might have the skills and the capacity to do exactly what they need, but you might not be the perfect fit. And if you release them, they have the opportunity to go and find that with somebody else, just like a relationship. And that was sort of what triggered this entire going no fixed address. Was I changed relationships, and I wanted to eliminate any negative relationships in my world. And I was causing my client relationships to be a negative relationship because I wasn't inspired anymore. So I needed to take ownership of that, and I needed to make that change. And it is hard. It's hard to stand up and own it. But it's even harder to let go of the financial security and the financial income to be able to make that pivot or that change. But again, I take risks and I do things a little bit differently. And I know that time is precious. Life is short, but life is so amazing, and you can really make it anything you want. You can make the most of it, but you have to take action, and sometimes that action is very uncomfortable.
I love that. There's a few things I'm taking from that, which is one, I feel like the level of care that you give your clients by actually taking ownership of, because you're not feeling inspired, they're not feeling inspired. So taking ownership of that and being like, I'm actually not their best fit for you anymore, is huge, actually. And second of all, the word that was coming to my head there was fulfillment. Like, do you actually feel, yes, you might be getting a good paycheck, it might be easy work, but do you actually feel fulfilled? Because like you say, life is short. And if you don't feel fulfilled and you're just collecting the money and you're collecting the paycheck and just going through the motions, well, yeah, you might have a good pension when you come to older life, but you've not really lived a life that if you had the if you could paint your dream life, if you've not lived it, well, you've just missed out on a massive opportunity there, haven't you? So yeah, that's really cool. I really like that. Amanda, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Our time is up, I'm afraid, but I feel like I could speak to you forever about your favorite places in America and all those amazing things. But I'm sure you share that over on Instagram. So please be sure, tell everybody that's listening and watching, where can they find you? Where can they learn more about what you do and the amazing things that you talk about?
If you want to follow all of my adventures, the best place to find me for that is on Instagram at The Digital Gal. If you want to follow me professionally and learn everything you can about Facebook advertising and everything chatbots and completely geeking out, then follow me over on Facebook. Again, The Digital Gal, and you can find me at thedigitalgal.com. So definitely connect with me on social. I respond much better to Instagram and Facebook DMs than I do email. That's just my world. So connect with me, please. Send me a message. I'll respond back. I'd love to connect with you.
Amazing. Do that, everybody, or just Google The Digital Gal. I feel like you're so well branded that you'll just pop up everywhere.
Thank you.
Amanda, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Gavin. I really appreciate it.
Hey everyone, me again, and thank you so much for watching the video version of the podcast. I hope you found that very useful and valuable and entertaining. I hope it brought a smile to your face. Now, if you'd like to listen to more of the shows, then head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting platform, and you can check that out. And if you'd like to see the show notes from this week's show, head over to mrgavinbell.com/podcast to get that goodness.